streaming.
Put it on the live. So make it live now, right?
Yeah. I got
And then
Hello,
we'll just flip
and
it.
welcome to the Disc Dungeon, where we put you on to musics
just
and
goes live
melodies in the
now.
deepest, darkest dungeons of your computer disc.
But there's no sound.
I'm your co-host, Joe Dove, and with me, as always,
Oh no, there's
Julian
sound. So mute it,
Valencia.
mute it, mute it.
And if there's one thing we love talking about,
Mute it. Put it
music.
down.
All right, guys, let's go. Mute your phones, hide your kids out of it.
Hide your kids out. They're probably gonna hear all this. We're good to go back and
All right, and
make it us.
let's go. Once this is done.
Yeah, some butt walking. Whoa!
Wow, this is we're live. I think?
This is amazing.
We're live. Is that what's happening right now?
We are live, and we just shared with you all our wondrous intro.
Wow, we're live.
You heard the tunes of the Disc Dungeon finally, and you heard and you saw the magic that To Be Seen put together with RoboFX. I appreciate you guys.
Guys,
Julian.
episode 24.
Wow.
24.
Maybe it was stylistic.
Maybe it was stylistic.
Yeah.
We found ourselves saying that a lot as we listened to our Limboyos from last week.
Yeah. Julian, he's gonna get mad there.
Joel's gonna be like, "You started off the episode with that shit."
I told you not to
Yeah.
do that.
You recommended the
Mhm.
Boxer Rebellion,
Yes.
specifically the album called "The Cold Still."
Yes.
All right, so you know I always have a lot to say about the shit.
Yeah.
This music makes me feel good. You know, this is the type of music that I'm gonna put on when I'm starting a run. It's gonna get me hype. It's gonna make me feel like I can conquer this mountain in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
But they keep it very safe in this music, and I hear the potential for something really great. Specifically, my theory is that the mixing I would redo. I would bring out the vocal textures more. And again, this is just my opinion, and I hear certain things as a producer, and I feel like if his voice in the first 8 songs was done a little differently, it would have definitely hit.
Mm-hmm.
So then the album started getting good. Song number 8, 9, and 10, Both Sides Are Even, The Runner, and Doubt. The 3 songs were great, man. I mean, I really enjoyed them, and especially the last song, which was a live acoustic song. It really confirmed my theory. At that point, well, my theory being that the vocals, the lead singer's vocals, were not done justice in the first 8 songs. And so, it would have been like an 8 to me, and if I wouldn't have heard the ending songs, it would have been maybe like a 5, but it ended up being a 7.
Painful.
Because I know that I haven't heard any other album, and I think that if this was when did this album come out?
This album came out in 2000 and
This album came out in 2011.
2011. Oh,
Yeah.
terrible year for me, actually. the year that I don't want to remember, 2011.
We'll talk about that more in Music Saved My Life.
Future.
So overall I gave it a 7, and last week I recommended Sampha. The album was called Process, and I recommended this because last week I heard Riley Ritchie and I gave him an 11 because this guy was like off the charts. I fucking loved it.
Yeah.
Right? And so I heard so many similarities in their their timbre and their style of music too. So
Maybe they're like related.
maybe they're of the same scene.
Maybe they're connected. Or maybe it's Maybelline.
Maybe we're all connected.
Maybe. Spiritually, definitely. I was put onto this magical music journey of Sampha because the connection between Riley Ritchie and this guy is very, very clear. The beginning song, One Plastic, 100 Degrees Celsius, the song just brings you into this synth wave, a new vision of R&B for the modern millennial, maybe. I think that's a good way to describe it.
It's a very poetic way to put it.
Oh yeah, poets, motherfucker. His tracks just like embark on this path of maybe possibly setting out his own journey and creating his own road into the music world and starting a new genre, perhaps. I mean, I don't know if other musicians are in this synthwave R&B
Yeah.
vein yet. I haven't heard every song on the planet.
I'm glad you mentioned that because it's like I forgot to mention that this band reminded me a lot of Radiohead at certain points.
Oh yeah, I remember you telling me that.
And it just was just never. I guess at a certain point I started comparing them, and it just was never as good.
Yeah, you don't compare. Don't compare Radiohead to
That's-
anybody.
Yeah, you're right. I
Yeah.
kind of like smashed it. Yeah,
It's like I don't compare Sting to anybody. He's gonna be like, they're whack. Ha!
oh my god.
In fact, actually, there's a lyric in my man in Sampha's album, Sampha's album. He says "Ghost in the Machine." I was like, he's a Sting fan.
You really did say that.
I did.
You really did say that.
We listened to the music while the others there to like have comments and bump ideas. So, well, it's not a lie. His voice is like a
Nice.
His voice is very amazing. It's sultry. It's symphonic. It's whatever I wanted. It's exactly in the vein of a lot of the music that I listen to. It's sultry. It's not quite as sultry because Jerry Serrano Lightwood, who I often compare sultry, soulful voices to, has more depth than this guy, but his is like on a different level and it's on a higher pace, so it's almost angelic. And I really think that there's like a nice throw to 11i that we listened to, except there was another throw that we didn't realize until the end, but we'll get into that a little bit later. That number one Plastic song is just like, I don't know, I feel like he's onto something and he knows. Well, it came out in 2017.
Yeah.
So I think he knew about the pandemic. I think that was the secret that he held, because there's this sound that's this ominous, dark, but beautiful sound that's looming in that song. It adds another layer to the song itself. It feels like it's another vocal actually, and it's just consistent and really dark, but like dreamy dark in a pleasant way. Probably the most standout song on this is Blood on Me. It's like a highlight, absolutely. The metaphoric lyrics that I dove into, especially on this one, were like have a dark political undertone. Some of the lyrics, I'm going to read them for you. So, I swear they smell the blood on me. I hear them coming for me. I swear they smell the blood on me. I hear them coming for me. That's the chorus, of course. I wake up and the sky is blood red. I'm still heavy breathing. Felt so much more than dreaming. I get up. They're at the edge of my bed. Yeah, how did they find me? How did they find me? They said. I feel like it's like a beautiful steel slicing into the skin. You ever had cold steel? You ever get cut?
Yes.
All
Okay.
right,
This is
it's very strange.
No, very. There's a lot of imagery. There's a lot of imagery in that.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely feel like this is a nod to some of the atrocities that have happened to African Americans consistently over time, but more so as of late because of the onset of cell phone cameras. But I really feel a painful but true depth to the song, and I really felt it stood out, and I loved it. The following songs, of course, keep the vibe of the first several songs until you get to the piano song, and that's it was very different. It's no one knows the piano. No one knows me like the piano. It's like a swift look into the mindset of his youth living at his mom's. That's how I feel like that was. I feel like he was almost relaying his experiences with his mom in this song, and I really enjoyed it. It was mysterious, very very somber. It kind of skewed. It's a very happy album, even though some of the symmetry, especially in the second song, "Blood on Me," lead you to a happy place because of the symphonic pop that he adds into this. But you know, the tempo is brought down with that one, but it's still in a beautiful way. It's such a beautiful song, and you know, anybody that has a great connection with their mother would appreciate this song. Finally, the back-to-back, we rated 10 albums. For me, back-to-back 10 albums. I have to give this one a 10 as well.
Wow.
You know, because it just had everything, especially the song "Reversed Fault."
We need to get like a boop, boop, boop,
Yeah,
boop.
beep, 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 beep. we gotta get a
Jo-
soundboard.
Joel-
Maybe I'll drop a soundboard.
Joel, when you hear this, please just put some like.
Shot in front of a live studio audience. But Reverse Fault, man, that song. Maybe it was a stylistic choice, but it
But then,
but it had like this imagery and sound of some of those like classic MIDI sounds that you hear in classic video games from like Sega Genesis. A little bit more advanced than your Nintendos, but you know, almost to the point of it's your final boss, and this is where we're gonna get thrown into, and this battle's gonna come hard, like a Final Fantasy 10 or 12 or something like that. It's very dope, and I really appreciated that. He almost like flipped it,
yeah,
reversed it. In the
Final
beginning.
Fantasy is a good way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah, he did a great job with it. Like I said, he's got an absolute 10 for me, and I do see the parallels with Riley Ritchie, and I thought that was a good call. So,
All right.
you on point, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, as always, guys, the next segment is Music Saved My Life. And as always, we talk about how this music connects to our lives, what we do, how we cope. You were telling me something interesting before about Steve Winwood.
Yeah, so last episode I was talking about, or the episode before I was talking about Steve Winwood, because Steve Winwood always puts me in a happy place. And sometimes my happy places is not what you expect. Sometimes the happiest points in my life not having to do with moments of happiness so much as having everyone that I love around me. And in the 80s was that great time of joy where everybody, my grandmother, my great-grandmother, hey, what's up, Pastor? How are you? Thank you. Yay. So my pastor is here, so I'm going to cut down on some of the swearing.
Sorry, Pastor.
Thank you, Pastor Betty. I appreciate it. So like I was saying, happiness isn't always attributed to money, even though it seems to be the general consensus in this corporate capitalist world that we live in. I feel like there's this stigma and this embedded knowledge that has been basically sewn into our education that says that, okay, in order to be happy, you have to have money. And I don't agree with that. I still don't have a lot of money. But, I was super happy listening to certain songs that will always trigger this happiness, especially the 1980s. Now, the 80s were not a great time. There were a lot of parallels. There was, seeming growing wealth of the wealth class, whereas the gap greatly widened with the middle and working poor. So, hey, Ma, welcome. So, I mean, I understand how people can think that having wealth means they're going to have happiness, but sometimes people that are very wealthy aren't happy, and it all has to do with what's around you and what's surrounding you. And like I said, Steve Winwood, this album that I'm going to put you on to, Back in the High Life, so put that in your notes.
What was it again?
Steve Winwood, Back in the High Life.
Back in the High Life.
It's that sweet blur of like 80s pop, towards the end, going towards the 90s.
Okay.
A lot of imagery of happiness and dancing. Yeah. A lot of happiness, a lot of like dancing. His was always a favorite of mine. He was in a group, John Barleycorn Must Die, for a group called Traffic. The album was John Barleycorn Must Die. And that dropped on a lot of interesting points to dealing with society. But Back in the High Life has a lot of great songs. Valerie, obviously the self-titled Back in the High Life. I think you might enjoy it. It's a really happy song. It's very well engineered, especially even though it's from the 80s. And it's just one of those songs that remind me of living in Rhode Island, believe it or not. Was it 30 some odd years ago? We're not going to go far, 30 years ago, but because, I would be excited when my uncle would come visit with my grandmother, and knowing that everybody was there. My aunt would come, my mom, my father's grandparents were alive. Everybody was alive, and it was a lot of fun. My half brother would come over with my sister. She was of state of mind at the time, so I just had a lot of good times. at that time. I mean, of course, I made great times going forward, but you're always going to remember the years where everyone was together, and that's going to be a happy point in your life.
Yeah, it's like what's most incredible and eye-opening about listening to artists is that what they're saying is almost the same. It's almost always in the same realm.
Mhm.
But it's in the way in which they communicate their thoughts. They embellished their words with their experiences, and at that point, there's infinite possibilities that those nuances create. Honestly, like at times, it makes me feel closer to humanity, in a way. Yeah.
Yeah, and I found there's a lot of like parallels, like with Tennessee. Like Tennessee comes up in a lot of the music we're listening to.
Yeah.
11 I, Justin Timberlake, the Boxer Rebellion.
Yeah,
It
we mentioned, I guess what Joe is connecting to a couple episodes where the word Tennessee comes up in a lyric, where it's the name of a song, or in some way. I mean, and we know that Tennessee has such an impact on music, but it's made clear. Every time we do these episodes, it's made more and more
Yeah,
clear.
I mean it's there.
Yeah.
It's that sound, that single sound that's looming in the background that somebody else knew.
Yeah.
It's just like one plastic.
Cool. I mean, guys, so the third section in our podcast is called Behind the Beat. And we take this time to, first of all, shout out Joel, who is a member of Made by Audios. Huh?
Okay.
Oh, no. And obviously, there's two more members. It's me and Henry Martinez as well. The three of us comprise this music production, artist development company where, we love to make music and we love to see artists grow during this process as well. So this week specifically, we've been again working very hard on Nicole Andrade's EP, that's going to be coming out really soon. She goes by Andrade. She has a 3-song EP, 1 B-side, and it was homegrown. She was our first client ever at Audios, and so we
I remember that.
Yeah, we took care of her. We took care of her.
Yeah.
Because of course this is what it's about.
Yeah.
And also in preparation for Shades of Green as well. It'll be coming out this year, and we're getting the pieces together, slowly putting the transformer together.
More than meets the eye.
More than meets the eye.
That's right. I'm a big Transformers fan.
And specifically this week we worked on this song called Yo-Yos.
Oh man, I got to hear that today. That was amazing.
Yeah, so Yo-Yo, if you look in your phone right now, on your iPhone, you're gonna find the yo-yo emoji, and it's this green yo-yo. So if you guys don't know by now, the concept of this album is that there will be no titles. The songs will be they'll be represented by green yo-yo emojis. And in this case, we're using that theme as, you ever been in a relationship where you're yo-yoed around?
No.
Where like she wants you,
Unfortunately.
and then she doesn't want you, and then she wants you, and then she doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a great song. It came out really good.
It came out great. We were popping to it in the car.
Yeah, on the way to the
ride
studio.
over.
Yeah.
And I'm reminiscing about my own yo-yo in my life when I lived in New York.
So like Cara says in the song, it says, "I've never been one for yo-yos. I've never been one for yo-yos." She killed it. Killed it.
Absolutely.
And so you're gonna hear me and Cara Z, which is an artist that we dropped a song with. I want to say about 3 months ago. It's called Glass Ceilings, and it's a song that actually features Henry Martinez on guitar.
Oh, Henry, we got to get my man down here one day.
Yeah. No.
He's got to dive deep down in the dark depths of the
We
distance.
gotta throw him.
We got to throw him, yeah.
Throw him off. Throw him deep. He's got no chance.
He's gonna land on his beard and be fine.
And we're gonna put him on the spot. There's a fly in here, guys. Say hi.
Guest starring
The Fly.
Jeff Goldblum.
So guys, if you guys want to listen to that song, go to Spotify, any streaming platform that you have. Glass Ceilings is available. Cara, Karahz, as in zebra, featuring Henry Martinez, and this was produced by Audios. So come to us if you're looking to get your story and your vision told right. We will be happy to have you. We are looking for new recruits.
Join them.
Come join us on the dark side.
It's not really dark when what you guys do is shine so brightly. So
Yeah, we're 3 moons.
we're all getting freaking poetic here.
We're getting fucking flat trucking.
We're
poetic.
trucking poetic.
We're trucking poetic right now. We're trucking poetic.
Silence that. Silence that. Well done, Julian. Well
Guys,
done.
our last section, as always, and the most riveting section of this podcast is,
Tricks of the keys.
or as some of you know it as,
Totic. I'm sure Joel hate that too.
Yeah.
They probably cut it out.
I'm sure he's just gonna cut us out, and you'll be like, wait, but what about that?
What
part
happened to that? But we said this. Just so you know, we have a podcast. You can listen to it on all of those streaming platforms that Julian aforementioned, Spotify, SoundCloud, all the fun stuff. Please share these things with your friends. It helps us grow. It helps get the podcast out. It helps audios. It helps to be seen, which you're listening to on this platform, the YouTubes. But most importantly, there are wondrous tunes that you're missing out on. That, like the intro, which was done by Kate.
So her artist name is Kate Foster.
Kate Foster. Thank you once again. Big shout out to you, Kate Foster, for bestowing upon us the magic intro song. That, coupled with the retro graphics, it's a winning combination. I love it. I love it. So big thanks. So we're gonna actually do, for the first time ever, a double totic.
Double tot.
Double totic.
It's a tot.
Yeah. I'm going to jump into Phantogram, one of my favorite albums, Voices. I always thought that album had a lot to do with partaking in the paraphernalia of mind alteration substances.
Okay. So the devil's lettuce.
No, more than that, but there's a specific song.
More than that.
More than that. This is a specific song. I thought this was dealing with addiction, and I'm going to read you some of the lyrics. It's called "The Same Old Blues" on the Voices album, and I thought it was about drugs. Today, I lost my future in the past. I got nobody left. I'm going nowhere fast. Never getting far enough away. Like a shadow on the sidewalk, I can't shake it off. You can never change my mind, and I'm thinking I'm running out of time. You can never save my soul, but I think it's time to go. I keep on having this dream where I'm stuck in a hole and I can't get out. There's always something that's pulling me down, down, down. Now, when you hear that, and when I heard it first, I always like the sound of how all the lyrics fit together, as well as the pretty awesome music work by Phantogram.
To me, it's like depression. That's
Yeah.
what it sounds like.
Yeah, but drugs and depression seemingly go hand to hand. But unfortunately, this goes a little bit further than that. This is, yes, depression, but it having to deal with the loss of her sister, who committed suicide. Sarah Brothel, the lead singer of Phantogram. When they were making this album, thank you for Complex.com for sharing this interview that really fleshed out the deeper, darker elements of the Voices album, which was, to me, in a rocky way, sounded fine. And though the lyrics were a little bit dark, and that's kind of a staple of Phantogram, they always have psych lyrics. But I really thought that there was just, more drug talk by a musician. But in reality, it was dealing with such a painful thing that it made it almost impossible not to have it in the album. And it shows. The song Barking Dog especially, and Destroyer absolutely deals with these issues of her passing sister. And so this is not a dark song and by way of depression, though I'm sure she's feeling depressed, having faced this terrible tragedy in her life. But I always, especially like a shadow on a sidewalk, I can't shake it off. A lot of people have a hard time kicking addiction, so I always understood that that lyric and a lot of the songs similarities to some type of drug use.
Yeah, I mean, and this is the reason why we're having two songs on Tricks of the Keys, is because there's another song that there's a band that I've mentioned a couple times, Bayside, and they
Bayside's your police.
Yeah, exactly. They're my police.
Bayside again. Oh.
I was waiting for it. I was
Yeah,
like, I was
finally.
Like, I was
It's like,
you-
wait a minute.
I was like, you got it there. Like,
Yeah. I got it. Wait a minute. You listen.
I'm not gonna tell you have it. But yeah, so Bayside did a cover of a song called Megan by Josh Cater. I may be pronouncing it wrong. I'm sorry. It's Caterer.
Carter.
And Carter or Cater. You know, I don't know which one of the two, but the song itself is about, like, it sounds like a beautiful bittersweet song of like somebody letting go of a lost love, right? Like they waited as long as possible, they tried as much as they could, but they let go. Right? But in actuality, Megan committed suicide at this train station that they keep referring to in the song, and it's them, you know, letting go of that, the process of healing and grieving through that. You know, so obviously I had to mention it based on
because there's so many parallels with the Phantogram.
based on that. Yeah, of course. So again, check these songs out: Phantogram, Same Old Blues, and Megan by Bayside. You guys will find it there.
Yeah, I mean, trust me, the songs are great. I listened to the Bayside song today, and it's absolutely a beautiful song. And I thought it was about like one of those summer songs from the '60s that talked about the lover you missed. You know, and then
You
then
didn't
you were
cuff.
like, oh no, that's not it.
You didn't
Oh
cuff
wow, bringing
before
cuff
winter.
back. Wow, the classics return.
Classics.
But a lot of great music here on the podcast. You definitely got to check it out. We will, of course, indulge you with some of these great musics by adding them to the Disc Dungeon playlist that can be found on YouTube on the tobeseen.com channel.
That you can be found.
That you can find.
That you can be found.
But I can be found.
That you can be found.
That you can be found.
You can find yourself.
But
in this
you can
podcast.
definitely find these songs on the podcast. The podcast playlist, and that is on the To Be Seen channel. So just YouTube, To Be Seen. The number 2, BESCENE. I encourage you to listen to these songs so you can take a listen for yourself. Come back and let us know what you think. Do you agree with us? Do you disagree with us?
And this is a shameless plug.
Oh, you got cards? I don't have one. You gotta give me. That's mine.
Shameless.
Thank you. Now I have an official made by Audio's card. Oh, this is a really nice texture too. Jeez. Good job.
Bye, guys.
Have a great week.
As always, Julian Valencia.
Joe Dove. I'm all in.